Hi everybody, welcome back to Barcast TV. It is December 7th, 2023, and we have another replay review for y'all. So this was submitted to me by none other than our own Ayin, or Ayin, what have you, not sure exactly how to pronounce that, and he was kind enough to submit this for our review. So this is going to be a series of replays. We actually have two games to review for y'all, both played on the same match versus same map versus the same opponent, Tompatsch. So let's go ahead and get into this. First things first, I noticed, like, just kind of without getting too far into this is like a positioning of your commander. You can see how inefficient this actually is. You get your starting mechs built rather quickly, as you know we should do, but unfortunately you have to go with a little bit of a walk with your commander, so not completely ideal. We want to end up spawning here, cap these two mexes, and then do another walk if you are intending to do like kind of like a 3 mex open, or vice versa. Just start here with your commander and cap these two mexes and do the walk. So whichever one works, pick one, but don't do this. So first things first, yeah, let's unpause the replay. So before we get too far into this, just want to say thanks to everyone who, kind of welcomed me back, left a bunch of comments and likes on my previous video. Really appreciate that, and it helps the channel out too. So thank you for that. And yeah, so yeah, this is red comment, so not really a wind map, so we're going to be going ahead, getting our first solar collector out, and looks like we are going to be doing our 3 mex open, but just a little bit of a variant here. There's a couple schools of thought, but I see you went solar collector LLT into the 3rd mex, 2nd P-Gen, and then I'm assuming you're going to be making one of your factories, so whether it's bots or vehicles, we'll have to see. And I have a couple things to say about this. Really just the positioning of these, of your SimCity. So let's take a step back and look. Okay, so we could have placed this. It's kind of hard to tell, right? Maybe I should kind of exaggerate this, right? But we put the solar collector here, and you end up having another square to put the LLT in, which is in plane or flush rather. Oh my goodness, with the bottom of this mex. And this is going to do something really cool, right? So let's look at this build rate, or rather attack radius, right? So we can protect this area with that one LLT. Your commander's walking to this side of your main, rather. And you can kind of do the same thing, right? Think about it this way. It's like, well, this LLT is protecting this side of your base from attack, and your commander is protecting this side, right? So it's like you kind of want to, I don't think exaggerate is quite the right word, but it's like you want to get the most bang for your buck using this attack radius, right, of the LLT. So the farther you place it over to the right, the better it's going to be. Excuse me. The farther you place that over to the, I guess, top of your main base, the better it's going to be. And you can either add like another LLT over here and place your factory between them, right? And it's like now your entire main base is protected by 2 LLTs. Pretty cool. So I would recommend maybe moving this up here. And then the positioning on the solar collector, you very well could have placed it here. And that's going to defend that mex from any attacks coming this way, right? It's like no one's going to be, well, maybe someone might sneak a rover back behind your base and attack the LLT from the top, but I'd be more inclined to say your opponent's units are going to come directly from his base, like in this direction here. So putting the solar collector in front of that mex is going to protect it from here. You can also kind of finish that wall by boxing it in like a little better with this factory. So I'm going to pause, take these markings off the screen. I really like how you made the solar collector before your factory turns on. For those of you who don't know, some newer players out there, you can kind of get like a wind turbine pretty much done and have a solar collector well underway before this factory actually starts making units. So you really want to be using the most out of your commander's build power this early in the game and spending that starting mass as quickly as possible. So really cool to see, and I appreciate the bot lab open on a quote-unquote vehicle map. So really cool to see. Personally, I love core bots, kind of what I lean on the most. Let's see what you make out of your factory here. So looks like we end up going grunt first. Nothing wrong with that. Send it right across the map and get your harass on. Zoom back in and see what you're doing. So I feel like I feel a sneeze coming on here. Oof. 2 grunts into construction bot. Really like this. I think you might like just a hair delayed with that solar collector. As soon as you start stalling E, you want to start making the solar collector. And you know, we're building a wall with it. I can appreciate that, but I don't want to harp on your SimCity too much. But let's say you made like solar collector here, you made one here, made one here, and now you place an LLT there, and it's like super protected. And then back to our previous conversation, LLT here, LLT here. It's like gonna protect most everything in your main base. So really like to see that. I'm curious to know how you move out of your main base, because like this might be, say you were planning to immediately move out of the main base with the commander. This LLT is pretty cool, but if you're kind of staying in the main base, assisting your factory, expanding with these construction bots, I don't quite like this LLT. It's like your commander is a walking LLT, the little tank here, and he's got the D gun, right? So I'm going to be assisting the factory with this initial construction bot, getting this LLT up. We're approaching running out of starting metal here, so I would like to see you start expanding, and that's what you do. Very cool to see. I really like that, and I appreciate the radar as well, even though I mean I can get really nitpicky with you guys. So here we are. This is a fantastic place for radar. You don't lose any kind of like, you don't lose any radar coverage, and it's maybe like a little forward, like, so obviously the farther forward you place this, the more the map you're going to have revealed. So I like that. You could probably make an argument that this might have been a better position for the LLT. If you're intending to walk down to capture these 2 mexes below your commander, you could make an argument, hey, maybe this is a better place for it, and you wouldn't have to end up having the redundancy. I see you have another LLT queued up here with your commanders, or another radar queued up with your commander rather, so you wouldn't necessarily have to make 2 so close to each other, even though I don't mind much radar overlap. It's better to have it and not need it than not to have the radar coverage. So I see you're kind of attempting to get some harass on the other side of the map. You're going to catch this Mex. Ooh, nice job. A little AFK with the other grunt below, but hey. These are the kind of moves I like without sacrificing too much of your macro. I can appreciate trying to have some presence on the map, harass your opponent, get some information. So the more you're practicing those kinds of things, the better you'll get at it over time. So, you know, you're sitting at 23 true skill or TS, I'm not sure what to call it, but it's good to have an eye or have a presence of mind to like, oh, I need to be working on harassing and pressuring my opponent. So pretty cool to see. Notice how we're like almost stalling on E, and one thing to note that if you're stalling on E hard, actually no, sorry, I don't know why that bar was so low, but maybe to finish the point, if you're stalling on E very hard, your mexes will actually stop producing metals. So it's really critical to at least have the mexes powered. I mean, we have all seen like LLT's been depowered or they're not shooting as efficiently, but you really want to have enough energy to continue powering those mexes. Maybe something I could say about just the build order of this, Ayin, is, and even the positioning, I think we could have gotten these mexes a little bit closer to one another. And it's like, if your commander is standing here like next to these mexes, like finish the 2 mexes and then make the LLT, right? It's maybe a little more economically efficient that way. And yeah, we are almost stalling on E, so negative 211 to 146, and we have a little bit of mass in the bank, so you could even go like mex, solar collector, considering we're, you know, so low, solar collector, LLT, right? And then it's protected. So I'll unpause it, zoom out a little bit. For those of you wondering where I've been, what I've been doing, why I took a break, I will say that I've been busy with school at the moment. So I'm just trying to get a degree, and appreciate you all understanding why I might not have been here. Why is that? Oh, okay, I'm on your player view actually. That's why I can't zoom in or out. So here we are. We finished making the LLT, finished making the radar. Nice coverage here in the middle of the map, and we're going to be moving with our commander towards the middle. Take a look at this build order and where we're at. So So you have two constructors in the main base. Continuing to add on solar collectors. Really like to see that. Even this wall is really nice too. Pretty cute to see, especially if your opponent's going vehicles. It's really hard to get around this terrain and start harassing your economy in here. Or even like this terrain offers some like it's intraversable for vehicles. Is your opponent going bots? Yeah, so bots versus bots on Red Comet. You don't see that too often. And we'll have to see how this game kind of plays out. Both players have kind of similar builds here. He's a little bit up on mass. Maybe next game we can kind of compare your open to your opponents a little harder. Dead even on metal produced. So really cool to see. So you're continuing to add on radars and LLTs. Like that move as well, especially at like a lower true skill player. I don't think you're doing yourself any damage by just adding, like expanding with LLTs, and like they build so quick with your commander too, so just kind of walking along, capping mexes, making LLTs and radars, pretty good style. I think as we like advance up and get higher in true skill, I'd rely more on just radar coverage and unit positioning to defend yourself. That can be a double-edged sword, you know, you just kind of set them and forget them, and they protect your stuff without too much hassle. Nice move here, stepping in front of your opponent's units. You really want to get in between your opponent and your base. Did a little juke right there. He's moving back to the left, so not the end of the world. He's going to get that mex and your radar, but at the cost of 5 grunts. So I think if I saw that, I would just instantly queue up a res bot. I see you have one. Yeah, and there it is. So really nice job. Continuing to increase our build power. I like how your commander expanded this way, and that kind of lets you get this for free essentially. So your opponent would have to attack into, you know, where you have LLTs and units in your commander first. Like he's going to interact with this first before he kind of slips by, unless he's being very deliberate about where he's placing his units, right? Oh, I need to get behind and around this commander. So I like that. It kind of like protects one another. You see that a lot in RTSs, right? It's like, oh, I'm attacking here so I can expand over there, right? I saw that a lot in StarCraft. And I would like to see maybe one more expanding construction bot. There's a lot of mexes on this map to contest over, and it's kind of like, oh, your commander's on this side, so it's like maybe cap, like walk up and at least cap these mexes and start adding on some LLTs here. Really, if you play enough games on Comet Catcher, or Red Comet rather, you run into, I think it's like a commander versus commander thing. It's like, where is his commander? Like, what is my opponent's playstyle? You'll see some players like to come up and cap these mexes. Some players like to move and cap these 3 mexes here. So it's really like stylistically perhaps like where your opponent, if you know your opponent likes to expand or move out with your commander early game, it's like, well, do you want to conflict quickly, or do you just want to like cap as many mexes as you can before you start really getting in these big fights, right? So kind of a stylistic thing maybe. Yeah, more radars, more LLTs, love to see it. Kind of taking little trades where we can. Not sure if you're cognizant of where your opponent's commander is. We see that he's not expanding up this left side based off of these 2 grunts over here. Really like to see that, kind of stifling your opponent's expansions. And we come here. There's really no res bot, or there's no like constructor to, or like mechs to res first, so just going after the grunts. And we switched to reclaim here, so perhaps that was a function of, oh, we don't have enough energy to properly support that. And really, like, if you're stalling on E, just make some solar collectors with your commander. I mean, you already have the LLTs up, so if you move away from this position, those solar collectors are going to be protected by these LLTs, and your commander obviously has a lot of build power to kind of crank those out while you have the metal. And we're approaching like, you're approaching the amount of mass in the bank where you kind of need to think about, well, how could I have increased my build power at this point? How could I have had more solars out? Could you have gotten a construction turret earlier? Construction turrets next to your factory are a really nice way of supplementing or spending that mass and as well as like it'll assist solar collectors that you have building around it, right? So as much as we kind of talked about how this is a really cool wall, getting that construction turret up really lets you scale your eco a little faster, a little cleaner. So not the end of the world. Although we are, have like 700 metal in the bank, that's a lot of grunts. That's a lot of extra build power we could have had. We could have had an additional 4 solar collectors and a construction turret up for that. So, which is obviously going to translate into more units, which is really the name of the game, right? I mean, at this point, at this skill level, I think you can just out macro your opponent hard enough and just attack move essentially. So, classic bar LLTs being made in front of each other. Who will win? Looks like he's gonna get some grunts in range of this before, so you're gonna get a little nice repair off, take out a couple grunts, but I think this LLT is gonna go down to the DPS of your opponent. And this is approaching a dangerous situation. If your commander's gonna get in range of each other, they have the same movement speed, so obviously if he wants to stay engaged, he can. Decides to back off a little bit. That would have been a scary situation if he didn't have those LLTs right there. I think he could have won the game right there, but not a big deal. And we have this big counterattack coming in, so somehow those 2 grunts got cleaned up, and ooh, you took out that expanding construction bot. So really nice deal here. And it looks like you're going to be attacking into the main base, so I'm not sure how well this is going to get cleaned up. But hey, let's take the time to look at your opponent's SimCity or his eco. He already has these 2 construction turrets up, really cool to see. And look at all these solar collectors that have been built around those. So I'm sure he was able to get some of these out based off of assisting that. And we can see it's kind of reflected in his power income, 315 to 273. Not the biggest difference, but I feel like you're still stalling on energy a little bit here. And very nice, you have this construction turret up. So just like a little bit, hey, add on some more solar collectors here. And if y'all see anything that I'm kind of not picking up, I know some of the higher level guys watch these videos and comment. Shout out Zlo, thank you for the last comment you left on my previous video. I'm trying to work that in to my own play. Yeah, feel free to leave a comment and give our friend Ayin some tips here on anything you see that I may have missed or gotten wrong. So one nice thing I've kind of learned is if you come in and like clear out an expansion, follow it up with another attack. It's like he's going to try and retake this. You might not know that he has some res bots here exactly, but you just want to like keep pressuring this area before he's has enough time to kind of port that up. And we got a nice economy, 27, 320 power. You got a second construction turret up. We've got 1200 mass in the bank, and this is about the time where I would like to see an additional factory thrown up. So if you're going vehicles, maybe switch into medium tank production over the light tank. They cost quite a bit more metal and can help you spend this mass. But on this map in particular, I really like producing thugs, like getting a forward factory and doing like 10 thugs, 3 res bots on repeat. And that's going to let you pressure these kind of more developed position as we've getting kind of entering the mid game here. You've got a lot of time to produce several LLTs, especially around the enemy commander, and that can really help you push a commander off an entrenched position. Like thugs outrange commanders. I think they have a slightly higher movement speed and are very good at dealing with LLTs. So I think in these positions, producing some thugs, it takes a little while to walk from this factory. So, and I see you're actually adding on some aggravators or rocket bots to deal with these LLTs. Really nice to see. I noticed you didn't quite dive in with these grunts. You kind of retained those. And we finally got around to having this kind of like expanding construction bot gang, taking more of the map here. Got a little bit gun shy there. He tried to retreat, getting this twin guard up, pulled back, had a little bit of hesitation, and your opponent has transitioned into medium tanks, which deal splash damage versus grunts. They're actually really strong against grunts. So you either want to think about starting to transition yourself, with this much build power in your main base, you can kind of like quickly either reclaim this factory and get a vehicle plant up, or hey, add a second factory on with your commander. I think based off of these positions here, it's like your opponent already has these 3 mexes and he's trying to secure these 3, right? Which I would argue is kind of like what you don't want to have happen. I mean, we can like kind of split the map this way, either player getting control of some of these 3 mexes, and it's like, well, what do you do in this position here? I don't think the answer is adding on twin guards. I think it's more or less like scaling your production. So I don't think it's teching. You can't go T2 exactly in this position. That's not a good idea. I really think it's like maybe transitioning to vehicles, getting into medium tanks, or getting like a second factory here. It's like you very well could have started a second factory with your commander here and expanded to these mexes with this double construction bot gang. And hey, one thing I just noticed is, and I don't see any of them, is the aggravator, exploiter, which is the armed metal extractor, which costs about the same as 2 LLTs and 1 mex. So on these outside edges of your base, I really like to make in my own games, I really like to make, like, say, these aggravators. I see Andy a lot. He'll make one of these an aggravator. And just like the farther you are away from your main, the farther you are away from your production, you really want to think about making these aggravators. They are more APM or less APM intensive. I mean, it's just like 2 clicks to make a aggravator, whereas it's a couple more to make the metal extractor and a couple of LLTs for the same metal cost. So that's one point. And then I guess back to how do we spend this 1200 mass? Your opponent's been doing a good job of spending it. He's got some in the bank here, which kind of translates to the fact that he's got a bigger standing army pressuring you. You spent the money building these LLTs, make that factory behind here. Your opponent's commander couldn't have just like walked forward and de-gunned it for free without trading some health, right? And it's like, well, like, let's look at where your commander is relative to his, right? It's like you're just trying to cap these mexes and split the map down here, not really protecting where the pressure is at, right? It's like you're making LLTs over here where there's no threat, there's no units around that, and I'd even argue it's like the real meat of what you need to be defending is obviously the main base, but it's a solid position on the map, back to our aforementioned like 3 mexes here or the 3 mexes here. So it's like his commander is in the middle of the map, capping mexes, adding LLTs where it matters, and your commander is down here, not capping mexes and adding LLTs, where I'd say it's like you already have stuff defended, right? It's like you have these LLTs already made. These could have been exploiters, and your commander could have been adding the factory or contesting one of these 3 mex positions. Running in with these aggravators to push him off of these 3 mexes. And this is kind of a scary moment here. 3 medium tanks and a lot of grunts. You step forward, and he takes a pretty good trade right there. He's got a lot of medium tanks left over in grunts, and you can kind of make a beeline to your main base from here. So you pull your aggravators back, which don't trade too well. You're scrambling to get up this twin guard turret here, and you can start pressuring your economy from this position, and you can maybe even take some friendly fire damage from your own rockets. So these thugs can shoot over him, and this is not a good position here. You're losing a lot of E. Dropping really quickly. You're taking the opportunity to kind of pressure the mid with your own commander, but I mean, this is a lot of damage right here. And he's about to get on top of your production, and you don't want to be losing these construction turrets. So I think you're going to end up clearing this out, but not without losing, what is that, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 solar collectors. You're trying to get those res back up, and here's something I've been using in my own play, right? It's like, okay, we have 3 construction turrets and a lot of construction bots here, and we just lost all our power, and we have 1,000 mass in the bank. So what I would do from here is I would select each one of these. For those of you on grid, ZX, click, ZX, click, ZX, click, ZX, click, right? Use all this build power to start getting these solar collectors up, and as soon as those are started by your construction bot, I would just assist them with your construction turret, because For those of you who don't know, solar collectors don't take any energy to produce, just metal. So it's a good clean way to use your build power most efficiently to get your E back online. So you got a nice little army over here, but this is kind of like, this is getting really close to being over here. Your army's out of position. He's continuing to pressure your outside expansions. You know, LOTs can't stop 5 medium tanks. His commander is walking over to this little reclaim field. A nice little bit of mass there. You couldn't quite push him off of this position here, these 3 mexes with your commander. I would argue you'd even kind of be very vulnerable to attack. Like, say your commander is out here. Well, he's got 5 tanks here, 5 tanks here, and your commander is separated from your army by medium tanks. So that's just a recipe to lose your commander. Not a fun way to lose a game. And medium tanks move faster and outrange commanders. Pretty sure they move faster. What is that? Movement speed 38. Medium tanks 73. Yeah, so quite a bit faster. And obviously more range. So yeah, I mean, you can lose your commander to 5 medium tanks. That's not outside the realm of possibilities. I've surely made the same mistake. And he's just comfortably spending his mass. He's got 4 construction turrets, 1 construction bot, just churning out medium tanks. And this is not a good position. That's a lot of medium tanks. Your commander is really vulnerable here. You hit the cloak, but I don't know how long your E's going to hold out. He's not really pushing his advantage. He doesn't have to, though. I mean, he can just attack where your commander isn't. You can just shave off all of these LOTs if you wanted to. Your army is not in position to stop this from happening, and you're just pretty much losing all of your map control. So I know we talked about a lot of things. I'm going to maybe zoom out, speed this game up a little bit. I feel like it's going to be ending shortly here. If not, you might tap out, right? So kind of reduced to a very small corner of the map. Your opponent has both 3 mexes. He's kind of sensing, hey, the only way I lose is losing my commander. He's pulling that back from the front line. And you're losing your whole army here. Thugs can handle themselves against medium tanks, but really not when they're outnumbered, of course. So pretty close game. You held on for a long time here, but you end up tapping out, calling GG. And let's move into the next replay. So like I said, we got 2 games to analyze. I don't think we have spoilers here. It doesn't quite say who does what or who won the actual match. So yeah, we're loading into game 2. Same map, same player. Let's see if you kind of deviate your play at all, changed up your play style. Did you go vehicles? Did you spawn in a different location? I know there's a couple of different options for starting locations, but the 3 mech start seems pretty popular on this map, and I think that's how I open in my own games. And I vary between, LOT, no LOT. I think it's kind of like, how does my opponent play, right? I mean, if I was playing against Dolphy, I would do the 2 mechs solar collector LLT start for sure before walking over here, capping this mechs, and adding on your second solar collector. That could be another LLT down the road. So, we spawned in the wrong position again. This is such a low-hanging fruit to clean up. Just spawn here or here. Either one. It's like you can kind of see how inefficient this is with your commander's build range. Even stopped there a little bit. So these are the little things you can kind of clean up as a newer player that really make a big difference. Honestly, the faster, it's the name of the game is you want to spend this mass as quickly as possible. You want to get that factory online. Get that factory online. Get your expanding engineers out if you're so inclined. That was cute. Cute little way of drawing a solar collector wall, figuring out the exact position of this. Not bad. I mean, I understand why you'd place this directly in between the 2 metal extractors, but back what we kind of talked about, one of them's here, your commander's over here. You get the most out of that range here. So same open from before. Little modified 3 mechs open into bot lab here, and you really want to get at least 4 solar collectors up as quickly as possible to kind of fund these. Let's see, do you go double grunt construction bot first? I don't mind that too bad. I will say that if you're opening LLT, this is really like dependent on your opponent's playstyle, but I don't see why you couldn't get a construction bot first. You can make an argument why going grunt first is better because you can like start pressuring your opponent, moving across the map, getting that scouting information, but your opponent has to do the same thing. Like he has to spend like all this time getting across the map. So it's like you go construction bot first into double grunts. Well, you can protect all your expansions or your mexes this early on without doing that. So I don't want to harp on the build order, the immediate build order out of the factory, but you do make 3, so that's kind of leaning towards like, you're kind of over making units before. And so once again, kind of slow in getting this 4th solar collector out. So really important to use your commander's build power and the starting mass as efficiently and quickly as possible in the early game. We all know it's like mistakes kind of amplify themselves the longer you go on into a game. So see that we have our first construction bot out. It assists the factory. Same positioning here on the radar. I think you could make an argument, hey, put the solar collector there. It's much more protected, or even there would be better positions to make those radars. And still stalling on E. So close. You don't see like the little power stalls over the metal extractors, but I like this open actually. I mean, 5 solar collectors, 2 LLTs, almost spent all of that starting mass and are going to expand with your commander. So really similar open here. Wondering how, kind of what changed between the 2 games. You didn't, sorry, I didn't kind of pay attention to what you were doing with your grunts. We saw 1 took out an enemy grunt. You didn't press your advantage though there, so you might have actually been able to go in, and you didn't know it at the time, but you know, I'm the observer, I can see everything. Could have gotten those couple of mexes there, I think. Even a little hesitation there, and you caught his own grunt here, so a really nice trade there. Got 2 grunts for free essentially. You ended up losing this own grunt on his side of the map, so kind of unfortunate, but not the end of the world. One thing I didn't notice from your previous game is, like, do you ever use the repeat command for some of the newer players? I think repeat is a great way to not forget about making units or to continue scaling your build power, right? You can do like 5 grunts, 1 construction bot on repeat, 6 grunts, 3 grunts, 1 construction bot. So, I mean, you want to change that as the game goes on. It's like you're over making build power, but like having the repeat command in your factory is a great way to kind of set it and forget it for a while. You can spend your APM doing other things rather than coming back and adding onto a build queue. I'm not sure if you play on grid or standard hotkeys. I'd recommend trying to pick up grid if you haven't already. You can shave off a lot of, or kind of use your left hand in conjunction with your mouse hand a lot more efficiently if you're able to kind of split the tasks between the 2. And nice little run by here. Gonna catch a mex. Maybe could have gotten the other one, but you want to keep that grunt alive. And are you aware of this little movement here? So yeah, I like that. You were trying to, let me pause this real fast. You kind of like, that's so weird. I think it like changes my pan to yours. Like my pan's inverted, but if I'm on your view, it goes back to what you have it on. So you originally were trying to like, oh, get in front of his units this way, but I saw you like change your command to back here. Really smart. It's like you want to get in between your opponent's army. You want to get in between your opponent's army and your economy. So I think going this way is a much better way to kind of achieve that. Take it off your player view, unpause the game. And you might end up losing 1 mex here. Your LLT is unpowered. Gonna end up losing that. It's not gonna be able to shoot efficiently. So yeah, taking a lot of extra damage here. 1 mex is already gonna go down. You're gonna lose that LLT, yeah. Gonna depower that solar collector. And you're gonna end up cleaning up these grunts here, so I don't think that was the worst trade for you. You got a lot of mass left on your side of the map. Still, once again, get that early grave robber out. I see you have that repeat command on. Is that Grave Robber part of your build queue for repeat? Let's see if it stays on there. No, okay, so just 5 grunts, 1 construction bot. Really cool to see. Great job. And really similar open, I see you've added on an additional LLT. I'm curious to know, it's like, hey, we're approaching the, we're getting more mass in the bank, and I'm curious to know how you kind of correct that between the 2 games. I don't think you've made that adjustment yet, but it's just something to work into your play. And this is, yeah, exactly. See, it's like your opponent used his commander's build power to scale his eco a little better. He's already got a construction turret halfway done. He doesn't have, well, he does have more mass in the bank. Have you all had? Well, he's up 1k metal produced, so much different from the previous game. Just, I think he's a little more aggressive with his expansions here. He's got one construction bot expanding towards the mid, kind of neglecting these. And actually, this is maybe something interesting to analyze and touch on, perhaps, is the difference between like gobbling up as many mechs. Because like, so you take a step back and you look at the map and you're like, okay, I need to split the map and get as many mechs as I can. Okay, good place to start. But let's think about how does that relate to where your commander is, where your opponent's army's at, where the battle is going to be fought over, right? Battles are going to be fought around this area here. And if you're spending time and attention expanding so far away from it, your base ends up looking like this, right? You've got mexes here, you've got mexes here, and LLTs, and wherever your opponent decides to attack in these far outside, like farthest reaches of your base, you're this much farther away. Like, you have to bring units all the way around to defend these locations, right? As opposed to a base that maybe looks like this, right? You're neglecting this part of the map here. You're not really focusing on securing these, but look how much easier it is to defend yourself, right? Units that come out of your factory, you either just have to step over here to defend yourself, right? Or step over here. Much quicker, much easier to defend. And let's look at Tompatch's kind of commander position, where he's at relative to you. You've walked all of this distance to just capture 1, 2, 3 mexes. Well, what did he do? He walked over here and he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he's got a 6th one being made, right? So it's like the mex density going through this path with your commander is much more efficient than trying to say go this path with your commander. And one other thing to kind of touch on is these 3 mexes are closer to his main base than it takes you to get all the way to here, right? So it's like, as we can kind of see perfectly demonstrated here, I don't know if your intention was to move and capture these 3 mexes, but his commander's already there and adding on LLTs, so he's like deflecting you from even moving into this position. I see you're trying to cap these mexes and continue to add on LLTs, but I think the only maybe not advantage, like the change you could have made is like, okay, cap this mex, add your LLTs, and then put a factory here, right? And now you can just immediately start attacking this position with your commander and some thugs. Maybe that's the only like alternative to this play style, that perhaps like, hey, my opponent's gonna pork up this position, add solar collectors. I think you can kind of maybe get a good trade or get a good fight here, and now you're in like a decent position. But as it stands now, it's like, well, your opponent's 1k up on metal, and it has a better map position than you. So a lot said there, but I think that's really the meat and potatoes of what you did wrong at this map and how you could possibly change your approach to expanding and commander position. So on these smaller metal maps, I think your commander positioning is much less forgiving than, say, on like a Comet Catcher or like a Certigata or like some of those bigger macro maps. So just more the same. I see you're trying to res these units. It can be really frustrating when these units start running away and your grave robber is chasing them, trying to get them back up to full health. like how you're able to res that LLT back online, kind of protect your res bot from attacking that position. But we're running into the same issue from before, from the previous game, right? It's like you've got mass in the bank and you haven't produced enough E, and you can fix that in a couple different ways. I don't see, oh there he is, like this dedicated construction bot adding on power. Really like to see that. You lose that construction bot, oh that would have been bad. Or res bot. Your opponent's even going for a forward factory, so a little bit different from the previous game. I think he reclaimed his bot lab and added his vehicle lab there, but I think he's floating more metal than the previous game, so just using the build power of the commander and just immediately moving into medium tank production, trying to spend that metal. And oh, that could have been a great D-gun. If you had stepped forward there, you would have gotten all these units with a good D-gun placement. And yeah, this game is pretty much over, I'd say. Your opponent has the 3 mexes. He's porking up this part, so he's kind of deflecting your counterattacks. He's got nice unit positioning here, deflecting these units from getting any damage done. Once again, your commander is kind of like out of position, essentially, like just adding on yellow LLTs at a completely inconsequential part of the map for now. It's like you really want to be like grabbing either one of these 3 mexes. You want to be making a play for those and know where your opponent's commander is. So I'm pretty sure you know his commander is here in the middle, but that means it's like, oh, I chose wrong. I should have sent my commander to these 3, or made a better plan to like push his commander off of this position, which is kind of hard. So early in the game, I think you have to have a second factory out to really push his commander off of that position. So really a lot to say here. We're kind of running a little bit longer on this video than I normally do on these, but it's just nice to have 2 games to kind of review. Yeah, and see our blue player is even reclaiming this factory. I think he might end up losing some metal, but I don't think he's going to be able to, because you get it all at once essentially. When like as soon as it's done being reclaimed, you kind of fill your coffer. I think you might actually he might actually overflow all that metal if this was to finish reclaiming here. Not the biggest deal. He's got a really big advantage here. He's even making an artillery here to kind of pressure these LLTs you've made. And really tough spot right now. I see you're scaling your build power, but not scaling E as well. And you're going T2. This is not a good decision. Even kind of fumbling a little bit here, trying to add on a T2 lab, and then you thought better of it and decided to move into a vehicle plant, which I'd argue is a better decision because you know your opponent's fielding medium tanks, and you know once we enter the mid game, you want those big tanky units, no pun intended, to kind of stay in these longer protracted fights a little longer. So I've said a lot these 2 games, and just want to say thanks, Ayin, for submitting these and putting yourself out there to be kind of critiqued. And this is the name of the game. The great thing about bars, there's a lot of players that are more than willing to help, myself excluded. I mean, there's tons of players you could ask for practice games, and who I'm sure would be more than happy to help. So if you are new to bar or thinking about getting into 1v1s, asking players for games, asking for feedback is just a great way to start. There's plenty of really great friendly players that are more than happy to increase the skill pool or the bench depth, if you will, of bar. So yeah, that's it. I think that might wrap it up for now. I'll just speed up the game a little bit. We can kind of zoom out and see how this game finishes. I'm assuming you lose this game, just judging off the base of the current game state. Opponent's got a lot of medium tanks, a really big standing army here. I mean, you're porking up the map, and it's just a little bit too late. I would like to see like this maybe move to here, right? Oh, you're able to step forward and clear out that position, but hey, you've left yourself vulnerable to attack. He's just, you don't have to attack the commander. You don't have to go for the snipe. You can just run past him, and I mean, this is kind of a replay of the previous game, right? Tanks swooping through, getting all that power. Got a big reclaim field you left your opponent, and you can sweep in and like take out all these mexes, but it's like Your opponent has the middle of the board. He can end it. He has a production there as well, a lot of it at that. So he can just launch attacks from anywhere very quickly. And doesn't really need to worry about losing a couple of mexes on his side of the map. So you tap out, call GG. And that's it. So that's going to wrap up the replay here. And just want to say, hey, thanks for watching, everyone. If you didn't like and subscribe, comment on the video. I'd appreciate that. It really helps me out and helps the channel grow. So thank you for that, and catch you in the next replay. See ya.